Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of San Diego People. I'm Sasha Fu. Well, with this new year comes a big slate of brand new laws, more than 800 new laws to be exact, taking effect right here in the Golden State. They run the gamut here from internet privacy to gun laws. And joining me this morning to talk about what these laws mean and what their implications are is attorney AnneElise Goetz. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday morning.
Thank you, Sasha.
First of all, let's talk about the laws that broadly affect children and children's safety. One of these laws has been dubbed Kaylee's Law, named for the daughter of Casey Anthony. Can you tell us what is the purpose of this law and how is it going to affect us?
Okay, as you mentioned, it's stemming off of the Casey Anthony case where, as I think most people know, she was found not guilty of killing her daughter. And this is despite the fact that she waited a full month before telling law enforcement that her daughter was missing. So Kaylee's Law, named in honor of her daughter, now requires that parents or guardians report a child missing or deceased within 24 hours.
All right, so they are closing that window. You cannot just sit and wait. You have to do this promptly. And hopefully that'll get law enforcement on the case and looking for these missing children.
You're much more likely to find the child if they've gone missing if you have 24 hours as opposed to a month, or more likely to find the body.
Right.
Unfortunately,
that would be critical.
The issue here is the person that waits a month to tell the law enforcement that their child's gone missing. Are they going to be the type of law-abiding citizen that's going to report in 24 hours? So we'll see how it actually plays out.
All right, that's an interesting one because I think there's still a lot of questions about that particular case. Now moving on to cases of child sex abuse, obviously very troubling, and we know there is a new law here in California that addresses that. Can you tell us about that, Ms. Goetz?
Sure. So in response to the Jerry Sandusky sex scandal, which obviously, again, rocked the country with what was going on with those young boys. We now have a duty for administrators as well as coaches to report any suspicion of child sex abuse. Now, teachers already had this duty imposed on them, but it was not in place for coaches and administrators. And as anyone that has a child knows, coaches tend to spend quite a bit of time with your child. And they have a better sense maybe of what's actually going on with that child. So having this extra duty hopefully will protect the children and just make it a safer environment for everyone in the school system.
So coaches and school administrators, is there a penalty for not complying, for not reporting?
Well, if you don't, then you have breached that duty, so that you're going to face the potential charges for having breached that duty. So it is very serious, and it's definitely in response to the alleged coaches that were aware that something was going on with Jerry Sandusky and did not come forward. Okay,
well, we continue to hear here locally that this teacher or that teacher is accused of child molestation or some crime against children. So if there are children, or rather are other adults or professionals in that school community who can blow the whistle on them, this is to encourage that.
We don't want anyone sitting back when there's any kind of suspicion that a child's being abused. And again, hopefully this is something that should come naturally. People should do this anyways. You shouldn't have a law to require it, but unfortunately, we saw that that's not always the case. So we want to make sure that people understand this has to be reported. It's a very serious issue.
Well, that would seem to be a no-brainer. Was there actually any opposition to this law? Do you know?
I don't think this went through pretty clearly. The same thing with Kaylee's Law. When you have when you have a response to such a horrible thing that occurred that got nationwide attention, in general, I think the legislature wants to push it through.
Okay, great. Now let's talk about, there is a statute that was supposed to take effect as of January 1st. It is being dubbed gay conversion therapy. And to those who aren't familiar with this, there's a concept that if an adolescent is showing attraction for a person of their own sex, that they can undergo some sort of therapy with a counselor and they can become heterosexual. Now, there was a law that was, or a bill introduced in Sacramento that would ban this kind of, quote, conversion therapy.
Yes.
What happened to that bill?
Okay, well, that bill was passed and it was signed by the governor. So it would be effective January 1st, 2013, but it was immediately challenged. So under two different lawsuits, they went up into the federal district court. Two judges came down on different positions with the constitutionality of the bill. And we can come back to that in a second. Okay. And then because of the importance of this type of law, both on is it an infringement on your constitutional right versus what's going on with these minors. And we should state this is for minors. An adult can still enter into this kind of conversion therapy if they so choose. That the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals immediately took this up, and so that's where it's sitting right now because we had diverging opinions from the district court. But what the therapy involves is essentially you have as you mentioned, teenagers, minors that maybe are having homosexual feelings and they want to go in and handle and address it. The bill bans the therapist from trying to convert it to heterosexuality. And this is a practice, this conversion, this reparative, or the gay therapy that has been that basically every major medical organization has said is not effective and actually has the opposite effect on kids and puts them in danger, not opposite, but has a dangerous effect on kids in that because they're fighting these feelings, they tend to end up to be much more depressed, suicidal, and it creates a difficult time in these children's lives and almost makes it worse. And so what the legislator was saying is we can't subject our minors to this kind of what they believe is psychological abuse. The therapists are saying you are infringing on our First Amendment right, and that it's overly broad what you're prohibiting us from doing, and we can't even give our opinion on homosexual tendencies and whether we believe they're a choice or not a choice.
Okay, so I can see the arguments on both sides. This is now going to a federal appeals court, is that it?
That's correct. It's going to be the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals right now. It'll be a while before we actually know how it's going to come out because I think in February is when the briefs are going to be due by both sides, but both sides have said that they will appeal this all the way to the Supreme Court.
In the meantime, those therapists who are engaging in this kind of controversial therapy, are they barred from doing that?
No, because the ban did not go into effect, those therapies can continue. So up until the point that the courts either decide that the ban is enforceable or not enforceable, they will be able to continue having the therapies.
Okay. Briefly, we're going to turn the page a little bit and talk a little bit about protecting our seniors in our community. And there is a law that specifically addresses the safety and welfare of seniors. What is that? It's a Silver Alert.
Silver Alert, that's correct. And it's based off of Amber Alert. So this is a fantastic new law. This is actually a lifesaver. What this is based on is if you have senior citizens, it applies to people that are over the age of 65 that are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. If they go missing, you don't have to wait that 48-hour period of a missing person time frame before that everyone can start looking for them. And instead, you can immediately report it, and it will go call your local law enforcement. They will send a blast out to the Highway Patrol and all the media, and immediately everyone can start looking for that senior citizen that's missing. And since it's gone into effect on January 1st, it's been used multiple times.
Wow.
They used it on January 2nd. They used it on January 3rd. And according to statistics, if someone is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, that 6 in 10 of those people that are suffering from it will wander away. And when you wander away and you don't have your medicine, it can be a life-threatening situation.
And it's terrifying for the families. We get calls from people in our newsroom, from family members who say their loved one, an elderly person, has wandered away from home or can't be found, and they are frantic. So this law really makes a lot of sense.
I think it does, and again, the qualifications are 65. They disappeared under suspicious or unexplained type of circumstances, and they're believed to be in danger, i.e., they don't have their medicine. They're not going to know how to get home. It's not for people like my mom, who's almost 65 and may take off to the Bahamas for the weekend, not telling where she's going. Oh, she's going to kill me for saying that. But it's not destined for those kind of people, but instead it's for people that have Alzheimer's and dementia.
Who are frail or possibly medically endangered. Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break now. Coming up, well, we have been talking quite a bit about Second Amendment rights lately. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about a new gun law in the state of California, as well as some new laws affecting the drivers on California roads. Stay with us.
The all-new Honda Accord versus its 4 top competitors and 1,200 car and driver readers.
Oh, this is nice. This one I like. That was fun.
You turn, and boom, the car goes.
This is way ahead of the other one.
I actually like the way this one handles more.
I'm liking this one better than the Fusion already.
Oh my God, I like this car.
Their conclusion? The Accord is a winner. Form your own opinion. Test drive an Accord today at your local Honda dealer.
Millions are still exposed to the dangers of secondhand smoke. And some of them can't do anything about it.
Start the new year off at Men's Fashion Depot's spectacular Big Bang Extravaganza, where you'll find a special collection of Vitorella Uomo suits at an amazing 3 for $201.30. You heard right. That's 3 Vitorella Uomo suits for an amazing $201.30. Don't pay $295 at other stores. You'll save $683.67. This is a special purchase at 3 for $201.30. They won't last long, so hurry in, and you'll know why we say
price, value, selection. Nobody even comes close. Nobody.
San Diego Opera's 2013 season opens January 26th, and there's something for everyone. Don't miss the hilarious Daughter of the Regiment, Samson and Delilah with the grandest set ever, the haunting Murder in the Cathedral where faith and politics collide, and everyone's favorite opera, Aida. Buy your tickets today. Call San Diego Opera at 619-533-7000 or go online at sdopera.com.
A hot topic these days, gun laws. We have added one new law to the books in California. Joining me again to talk about how our state is looking at guns and gun violence is attorney AnneElise Goetz. This new law is very specific.
It is. So this law is a ban on the open carry of rifles, basically on city streets, in public areas. It does not apply to townships, private locations, but you can no longer carry a unloaded rifle in public areas. It's in response to a ban that similarly went into effect in 2012 for carrying handguns.
Okay.
And so Second Amendment proponents would then go and get together and have these organization meetings and carry their rifles, which was still legal at that point in time, and now that has been banned.
So if I'm a member of a gun club and I wanted to bring my unloaded rifle to a meeting in a private space?
Private space, you're fine.
Private space.
You can't go into maybe Balboa Park. That's
Okay.
a good example. You couldn't have that same situation in Balboa Park in a public place.
And again, it would be even an unloaded rifle.
That's correct. Unloaded.
Okay. Well, so that kind of, it's more of a cosmetic law, I guess.
It is. I think that obviously with what's going on with the gun debate in this country, there's going to be a lot more gun laws to come in San Diego. I mean, in California. But California already has pretty restrictive gun laws, so we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of people, and the president is coming out with a proposal to have universal background checks and to ban military-style assault weapons. We already have a ban on those types of firearms in this state, the assault-style weapons.
That's correct. So we'll see how much of an impact it actually has on California. But this particular gun law, it'll affect a certain minority of people that feel very passionate about going out and showing their right to bear arms. But otherwise, it's not really going to have a big impact on people.
So let's say a 4th of July parade, I want to bring my unloaded rifle out and parade down the street for an Independence Day parade. I would not be allowed to do that?
I actually think, now don't hold me to this,
There
but
might
I
be an
think there is an
exception.
exception when it comes to parades, actually.
Okay.
So maybe you can still do that if you want to do that, Sasha.
I believe there might be a lot of exceptions there. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for the clarification. Let's transition now and talk about the laws that affect so many of us, road warriors, the laws that affect us as we drive.
Okay.
There is a new law regarding driving and texting.
Okay, so this is actually a pretty controversial law. It's gotten attention across the country. In California, you can now send, receive, and dictate text messages if you're using a voice-operated, hands-free device. So Siri, Google Now, those types of telephones. The problem is, and actually to send that and to complete the transmission, it does require some touchscreen operation. So you are looking down from the road, and therefore it's not the safest practice.
So it's not one, I mean, I'm thinking about myself. I'm a bit of a klutz anyway. I'm thinking I'm driving and I want to talk to Suri. I still have to touch the phone.
Right. The theory behind this law is that auto manufacturers have put a lot of money into R&D to have systems on your dashboard that will replace your Siri and your Google Now, and you can talk into that system and it will send text messages back and forth. And in theory, there won't be any touchscreen application. So you have the automotive industry that's put a lot of money into that, and yet it's illegal to do it on the books as it stands right now. So this is kind of, this law, while it applies to Siri and Google Now, is really paving the way for a new type of technology in cars.
Okay, and we're the first in the nation to have this type of statute, is that right?
I don't know if we are the first, but I know that there's been quite a bit of pushback. So if we are not the first, we're one in few to have it.
All right. Now, talking about this brave new world of technology and what that opens to us in terms of new opportunities, we're also talking about driverless cars. And I had to scratch my head about this. Driverless cars, what the heck is that?
Yes. So, I mean, I think that there's some safety justifications for having driverless cars, especially for text messaging while we're driving. Maybe it's better to not be driving at all. But right now they've hit the roadways January 1st, but it's under a whole lot of rules and regulations. So although the driverless cars are on the roadways, a driver has to be in the driver's seat in case something goes awry and then can manually take over the car. We're waiting for the DMV to issue rules and regulations, and they have up until 2015 to put into effect how we're going to govern these types of cars. But so it's exciting that we're doing it.
So we're talking about, we have to clarify, we're talking about cars that are not really operated by humans. They're operated by robotic means, right?
That is correct.
But they require someone to be sitting there.
Currently. So the car itself does not need to have someone sitting in it. But, well, I mean, you have to be sitting in it to go somewhere in it. But in actually, it doesn't require someone to be driving it. But right now in California, because we're still in those implementation phases on how we're actually going to govern it and how it'll work, they're requiring the driver to be sitting in the driver's seat, ready to drive at any second. But in theory,
so they can take over if the machine decides to quit.
So by 2015, you don't have to be doing that. You can be on the phone, you can be text messaging, anything you want.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I hate driving. I think it'd be great. I don't have to pay attention. It'd be like taking the train.
Good thought. That's a good thought.
And you want to have 16-year-olds behind there acting crazy. I think it's safer.
I would be putting out the driving schools out of business, wouldn't it?
Oh, I guess so. But casualty of war.
A casualty.
Yeah.
And now there's also some other traffic rules or laws. Let's see, driver's licenses and rental cars. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, so you now have to, the drivers, in rental car companies, you can show your driver's license. They can require you to show your driver's license before they'll rent the car to you. Okay. Not a big deal on that
Not
one.
a big deal. But
yeah.
This one I really like, and I think it's probably happened to all of us. When you park a car and the parking meter is busted.
Oh, yeah.
What do? Do you just find another spot? What do you do? So apparently AAA is an organization that advocated for the passage of this law, and it addresses the dilemma of the broken parking meter.
So what you can do is you can pull in, park for free, and so long as you have to still adhere to the time restriction. So if you pull into a 2-hour meter, you can go and stay for 2 hours, but then you have to leave. But you will not be ticketed for parking at a broken meter. You can now park there for free. Okay. Sasha, what did you used to do?
Well, as a peace offering, I thought, well, maybe if I just leave a nickel or a dime on top of the meter, you know, maybe I wouldn't get a ticket.
You
telling
can
the
save
officer
that
my
change
intentions
now.
were good. Okay, I'm saved by that. We're going to transition a little bit into landlord-tenant rights. Okay. This is a subject we always get calls whenever we run a story that talks about what are tenants legally allowed to do in certain situations where there might be a dispute with a landlord. Now, there is a new law in California that addresses a situation involving a landlord whose property has gone into foreclosure. How does this law work?
That's correct. Okay, so that's a part of the California Homeowners Bill of Rights, which is, you were asking some different laws if they were the first in the country to do it. This is the first in the country to do this California Homeowners Bill of Rights. And a lot of it has to do with the actual homeowner and foreclosure processes, and it protects the homeowner from dual tracking and having one person to call at a bank. But it also protects tenants in that if the home that I live in as a tenant, and I am a tenant, if it's foreclosed on and I've been paying my rent every month, I have no idea what's going on, it's foreclosed on, a new owner comes in, I can still be removed, but I have 90 days. I have 90 days they can give me notice before I move. So 3 months to get my things in order, find a new place. I'm not going to get kicked out at the end of the month. It's a really good law.
Do you know if there were any other protections prior to this? I mean, before this law was passed, could a landlord just say, I'm sorry, you know, this is no longer technically mine, it belongs to the bank or the lien holder, you've got to move in 10 days?
Well, these were all a part, all of the Homeowner Bill of Rights, including this aspect as well, was a part of what was originally negotiated by the states with the big 5 banks. So it was essentially already in place, but now it's under California law, and it will continue, I believe, until 2018.
All right, well, that's going to provide a lot of relief to those people who are stuck in that situation.
I think it will. I think it's a really good law.
All right, time again to take a short break. Much more ahead here on San Diego People. Stay with us.
It's not the Strip. It's not Las Vegas. It's not even Nevada. It's Valley View Casino and Hotel, and it's closer, friendlier, better, with all your favorite table games. San Diego's only certified loose slots, a luxurious hotel, and the only all-you-can-eat lobster buffet in Southern California. Plus, when you join the Players Club, your first lobster buffet is free. It's classic Las Vegas style, and it's only at Valley View Casino and Hotel, San Diego's favorite.
You're not born into this world as a number. So why do most financial institutions see you as one? Is it because they're motivated by profit? At California Coast Credit Union, we're not for profit. So we see you as a person and give you rates and services in your best interest. That's the value of California Coast. Refinance your car loan and save with rates as low as 1.98% APR. Apply today at calcoastcu.org.
My name is LasVegas.com. Before the internet, things were totally normal.
LasVegas.com. You got my hotel and airfare all arranged?
Then things started to change.
Hi, can I get your autograph?
People confuse me with the websites. All the time.
I want to experience Thunder Down Under at the Excalibur. I made you chocolate chip and raisin cookies.
Do I look like a website? Is this how a website dresses?
2 tickets. Donnie and Marie at the Flamingo.
Suite at Palazzo?
I am not a website. I'm just a man.
Don't miss out on anything, Vegas. To book hotels, flights, shows, and more, there's only one LasVegas.com.
For you, he's the secret ingredient. You make dinner together every night. When you're this passionate about cooking, the only place to be is Time Warner Cable. Enjoy everything you love even better. Movies without downtime, games without lag time. Do whatever you love with the best internet around. Call 855-419-7388 for internet packages starting as low as $19.99 a month. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
Welcome back to San Diego People. You may not know this, but more than 800 laws took effect in this new year. With me now to talk about some of these new measures is attorney AnneElise Goetz. We were having a great conversation about traffic safety and gun laws. Now let's transition to the internet. There are some new regulations regarding internet and internet privacy specifically.
Let's talk about them as they relate to the employer-employee relationship. So as of January 1st, an employer or a potential employer can no longer ask for your username or your password. And there was a couple of reasons behind this. First of all, they felt that they shouldn't have access to that. That's your own personal information. But they were also worried about employers ending around restrictions on what they can and cannot ask in an interview. So, for example, they're not allowed to ask if you are married, if you have children, what your religion is. But if they ask for your Facebook password and username, it's all gonna be on there, and we don't want to have them ending around those restrictions. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, you really shouldn't have. If you're looking for a job, you should watch what you have on your Facebook public page, anyways, and make sure that anything that's out there on social media looks good. But it is an important new provision that people looking for jobs should be aware of, and it also applies to students in universities. So a university can no longer ask for your username and password.
Oh, that's good, because I think a lot of people feel that somehow maybe coerced, that if they're asked that in an interview, they should offer up their Facebook password or something like that.
And an employer asks you for that, then you're going to give it to them. And what we want to do is just make sure that those employment law rules, they're very important, and we want to make sure that they're enforced and that employers are not trying to end around them.
So the job applicant can say in an interview, you know, I'd like to provide that to you, but according to California law, that is illegal.
Yes, they should not be asking. They certainly can't require it, and they can't request it either.
All right. What about social media and bullying? This is something that we've heard a lot about, and sometimes with very tragic consequences. What is the state of California doing to address that problem?
This is such an important topic, and especially with the onset of cyberbullying. And in the last few years, we've seen California really beef up its anti-bullying laws. And it happened again. So right now, they have provided what's called a burn page. So I guess it's something where students put together a page, a Facebook page on another student, and they basically attack that student online. That is now caused to have, that's considered bullying now, and it's caused to have whoever put that page together, whoever's posting on it, can be suspended or ultimately removed from the school.
Is that considered a criminal act? Could that person or those people be prosecuted?
This is separate. So this is as it relates to bullying, the definition of bullying for purposes of schools administration.
Okay.
But
So
that being
discipline.
said, cyber harassment is a crime. It's a federal crime as well. And so if you are attacking and impersonating another person or withholding your identity and sending threatening messages, which is a lot of what occurs, I think, when someone's getting bullied and they get these threatening, upsetting messages, that is a criminal act.
All right. And there is a new law with regards to birth control and access to contraception. Again, this is a controversial measure as well.
So with this new law, it's an access law. So at this point in time, if you want a prescription for birth control, you no longer have to go to your doctor. Instead, a registered nurse at a primary care clinic can write that prescription for you.
So theoretically, then, you're making access to birth control more widely available.
That's correct. Because you can end around having to go to your primary care physician to get the prescription.
And would there be age restrictions on this? This would not be available to minors?
I actually am not sure on the age restrictions. I am not sure on the age restrictions on that one.
All right. Well, finally, let's end up on a lighter note. Talking about food, everyone wants to talk about food, and there is a new law that in regards to food products and the sale of certain food products. It's kind of specific, though, isn't it?
It is. I am excited about this one because I go to the farmers market in Little Italy every Saturday, and what this provides is that you can now have you can now sell certain homemade goods that are made out of your home as opposed to a commercial kitchen. It is restrictive. You can't sell anything with meats or creams, but you can do pies and cookies and jams. Everything that I buy at the farmers market, it has to be labeled. This comes from a home kitchen as opposed to a commercial kitchen, and so it's kind of buyer beware.
Buyer beware, but
maybe a dog was licking that counter before those cookies were made. But it's great for small businesses because this is one of those areas where there's so many rules and regulations. It's really prohibitive to get into that business.
And that'll be great for those who are thinking about putting their jam or jelly on sale at the farmers market. Thank you so much for joining us, AnneElise Goetz. Thank you for this conversation. That's it for this edition of San Diego People. Join us tonight for the KUSI News at 6:10 and also at 11.